Is social media completely ruining our brains, and is there any way we can prevent this? That is going to be a little bit of what we're diving into on this video. Hello, and welcome to the channel. My name is Catherine, and here we talk about all things homesteading, homemaking, and just our journey to a slower, more simple life. When talking about kind of simple and more natural living, I think there's a lot of topics that go into that, and I felt very called to talk a little bit about social media and the way it plays such a big role in so many people's lives nowadays. And I think it is important to talk about, and maybe even more so to people that find themselves in the circles of simple living and homesteading and things like that, because we may think we are kind of immune to the negative effects of social media. But that is definitely not necessarily the case. While I think social media is definitely not all bad, and I will get into a little bit about the good that we can have from it, I first want to kind of go into the three main things it really does that kind of manipulate our brain that maybe if we're more aware of, we can navigate the whole world of social media a little bit better and be a little bit more healthier and happier too. So I think the three big points that I really want to hit of negativity that social media brings is one, kind of the setup of how the apps work and what that does to your brain. Two, the consumeristic mindset it brings. And three, the promotion of deceitfulness and just lying in general. So let's dive into the first topic of the setup of the social media apps. If you're on social media, which if you're watching this is a form of social media as well, and you'll even see on this app of YouTube that they've implemented this short form type of content. Whether it's YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, or just the format of TikTok, this has become a big way of people getting their content out. While short form content in itself is not necessarily a bad thing, it is all designed to really catch your attention and suck you in. That scrolling motion that we do when we are going through Reels or TikToks or YouTube Shorts, they're quick videos that just catch your attention, and you don't need to stay long enough for the satisfaction that it brings, for that dopamine hit. It just does enough, and the scrolling is very comparable to slot machines, in fact. It really manipulates the brain and gets you kind of sucked into this loop. And I can speak on this even with myself, that there was a point where I was kind of trying to make those videos and I was on those apps more, and you'd think that because you're looking into certain kinds of content that it might not affect you negatively, that the content is pure, it's promoting good topics or maybe even educating to some extent. But I think the truth is you really can't learn that much from such short content. And even if you could, the fact that it is on a platform that is encouraging you to stay longer, it wants you to stay longer on the platform because that is how it makes money, of course. So it is encouraging you to get completely sucked in. It doesn't really care what you're learning or what kind of content you're trying to consume. It only cares just enough so that it can keep you there. And of course, that's how we also get pulled into seeing ads, whether they're obvious ads or influencer ads. It is all super strategic how they do it. And that's why my first advice would really be, I don't think it is worth it that much to be on these fast-paced scrolling social media apps. Now, I have Instagram, and I used to really like Instagram way back in the day when it was just pretty photos, because I enjoy pretty things. I like to take pretty pictures, and it's almost like scrapbooking in a way. But that is certainly not what the platform is now. And same with TikTok. There was a point I was trying to make pretty TikToks. I enjoy seeing pretty scenery kind of compiled together in almost a cinematic way, but short form, that can be very pretty. But I have personally come to the conclusion that even little good things that can come from the short form content just isn't worth it to be sucked in the way you are. And I can absolutely say that I was somebody that was. I would go on for just a couple minutes. Maybe I wanted to look up something kind of specific. But then the way that it is designed, you just watch one thing and it's so easy to keep going. I mean, I even spent like half an hour or more plus like going through what I didn't mean to at all. And I know just from seeing how much time people say they've spent on these things, people end up getting sucked in for hours. And to me, it is just not worth it, even the good little things that you can get from it. So that doesn't necessarily mean completely delete all these social media platforms, but I would say absolutely 100% have a lock set for those apps, and I would not even have it be a password you know. If you have any family member or a close friend, I would have them do the password for it so that you can't just put the password in and surpass it, because you'll say you won't, but then you will. It truly is an addiction. It really is. So that is my big advice, is just first off, start avoiding that quick paced type of content, and I really think it'll be beneficial. And the second point we kind of already got into a little bit, because it's hard not to, is the huge push for consumerism. And I understand it, and I want people to be able to be entrepreneurs and to make money doing things on social media. Of course I do. I think it's great that people do, and I even aspire to such things myself. And I think there's nothing wrong with affiliate links necessarily, nothing wrong with promoting good items, but I think I see way more of unnecessary consumerism pushes opposed to genuine advice of products that are actually helpful. And I don't mean even just on the internet as a whole, but even in the spaces that I try to be in, where it's all homestead related and homemaking related, and things you might not necessarily think would be kind of polluted with extra consumerism. I see it there too. I like to call it, and I don't know if anybody else has kind of coined this term or not, but I really call it kind of clean hoarding. I see a lot of people kind of promoting clean hoarding, and what that is to me is just overconsumption of items and things, whether it be people doing purse tours and showing what they carry in their purse with all these doodads, or what's in their makeup bag, or all the cups they have, all the utensils that are kind of cutesy but not necessarily needed. And people like to really dress up these videos, and like I said, I have an appreciation for aesthetic things and making things look very pretty, so I understand wanting to do that, but what we're seeing is unrealistic expectations of what things you should have, and a big push that you need more. You'll see videos of people just showing off, and it's all very clean, all very organized even. People showing their junk drawers or whatever kind of organization they have, but it's just filled with unnecessary stuff. And I'm sure this is very purposeful. They want to put links to all these things, because the more things, the more likely that people will go buy something at least. I understand, I really do, but I think we as people really need to stop pushing just huge amounts of things and huge amounts of products. I'm sure it happens with men as well, but especially from the woman perspective, we are just pushed products all the time. And I can get into in a separate video how bad that is for just our health. All the things that are in so many of these products, such as perfumes and makeup and lotions and all those things, so many of them have things in them that have been shown to directly cause cancer and directly cause mutation in utero and things like that. We don't need more things. We really need less things. And it doesn't matter if it looks crazy like we might think of people who are really suffering from hoarding as we traditionally think of it, or if it's all organized. If it's stuff that you don't need, it's stuff that you don't need. And you can definitely see this in YouTube videos. I don't see it as much just because of my algorithm, but especially in the short form, they love to just push different things that are not necessary, but just a quick clip of it so that they can link it and that you can buy it and they can make commission. Please just remember when you are going through the web that you do not need anything. All these things are access, and nobody's life is better because they have certain aesthetic spoons or coffee containers or some kind of air fryer. Their life is no better than yours. Your life is exactly what you perceive it to be. So if you're getting those kinds of videos coming across, I would highly suggest just block yourself from being able to see that content, whether you have to block the creator or get off the app or just change up your algorithm somehow, because it is not helpful and it can really put us in a place that we feel the need to compare. And that goes hand in hand with my last critique that I will talk about today, and that is that social media really has a tendency to promote the idea of lying. Many people on social media are being deceitful in one way or another. If we compare it to our last topic, where we see people perhaps putting together some kind of food, but they do it all with very fancy measuring cups and bowls, and it all looks very pretty, while maybe that creator's intention isn't even to necessarily promote having to get all those things. Maybe that's not the biggest intention. Maybe they really do just like to make aesthetic, pretty videos, which I completely understand. But it can lead people to think, oh, how do you make this food so pretty and all these pretty things and do it with the flowers in the background? You must do that all the time, and what a lovely life that is, because when I'm making dinner for my family, everything's chaotic. Well, truth be told, I am fairly certain that that creator does not do things like that all the time, no matter what the topic may be. There's a big thing of people showing off their relationships and showing off even their relationship with their children, which is a whole separate topic that I'm not going to dive super into. But basically, what people are showing online is not the full truth of even any bit of the truth at all. A big one is just how people look. We live in the age not only of makeup and lots of different procedures people can do to try to change themselves in real life, but with filters and things that only change themselves in the visual space. It is no secret that many people change the shape of their body slightly or not slightly, or completely kind of filterize their face to have no blemishes. Even putting pretty filters and changing the colors is kind of a form of deceit if presented to the wrong audiences. And kind of like I say with all of these, I don't say this to kind of call out all the creators in the world, because I myself consider myself a creator, and I think being creative is a good thing, and a lot of it can be very artistic and educational. But just the way people do it, and when talking about the deceitfulness, there's many creators that not only are lying, but sometimes even lying to get people to engage with their content negatively. People saying and doing outrageous things just for the views ultimately, which brings them some form of money, financial gain. But just the way that social media is really promoting that lying is how you get places, whether you lie about what you look like or lie about what you do from a day-to-day basis. It's not the same as maybe perhaps comedy videos where you know things are skits, or certain artistic things that people do that are clearly for the art of it. One of the biggest things that is promoted on social media is honestly lifestyle, which is kind of crazy to think about in that way, because we're all living our own lives, and there's people who can make money just completely promoting lifestyle, whether that be a genuine or false life. And I do think it can be positive to share some things in life. We are all human and can all learn from each other and grow from each other. But again, it brings it back to that deceitful nature, and unfortunately, people's bad sides to them do make them almost want to click on the more outrageous of things, even if it's negative. So honestly, I would put out there to stay away from anything that is making you really compare your own life and seeing it as less than. Even if it's somebody who makes great content and is a wonderful person, even if it's something I said, because I said that I do something and you feel bad because you're not currently doing it, if that makes you feel badly about your life and not feel inspired to perhaps try new things, then I would not watch it. Nobody is going to improve their life by thinking badly of where they're at now. But with all that said, I do want to talk a little bit about the benefits that social media can bring, because I don't think there is a complete black and white to the situation. What social media can bring is connection, and that is for better or worse, but there's definitely great connections that can be made, whether it's family members separated by distance or just being able to meet people who have similar values and ideas as you, but you just never would have met otherwise because you're states or even countries away. There's people that have a hard time getting out and really going into the community due to different health issues or things like that. And with social media, you really can still kind of participate in the community. Just as bad and false knowledge and education spreads, good knowledge and education can spread the same. So while I have many critiques of social media, I think there is benefits that can be had as well. And I think it is up to each individual consumer of social media to be the person to see change, just as in the real world. But to be able to see the changes we want to see, we need to be the ones to make those changes. Don't click that video that is that clickbait to get you riled up. Just don't do it. Or whether you went to look something up but now you're 30 minutes into scrolling. It's okay, we've all done these different mistakes, but let's stop it right here and let's rethink our lives. Let's think, who is the person we really want to be? Perhaps we could find that out by really considering what we are seeking in the social media. What about that influencer's life or what they're doing is something that speaks to us? If you're watching this content or any of my content, perhaps it is that natural, simple living lifestyle. And no hatefulness at all saying this, because I've definitely done this as well, but are we really being the person that we want to be if we're spending time watching others seemingly live a simple, quaint life, but not doing it ourselves, just watching it through a phone? Like I said, there is time and place for all kinds of entertainment. But if you're finding that anything you're watching is doing any of these 3 hurtful things, I would take a step back. Ultimately, let's just remember that we make an impact. Thank you guys for listening to this video. If you'd like to hear more things about this topic specifically, please let me know, or just to be a little more detailed with my analysis on anything. And if you like homesteading, homemaking, and simple natural living content, please consider subscribing so that you can join our community of like-minded folk. I hope you have a great week ahead, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!